Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and the Restless official 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Victor uses Lily to defeat the Kane. The Young and the Restless preview video for the week of August 4th to 8th reveals that Billy Abbott becomes a surprise wavemaker while Victor Newman will plot to use Lily Winters against Kane Ashby. Y&R's weekly promo kicks off with Adam Newman, who asks what brings Kyle Abbott and Claire Newman by when they show up at Newman Media. Why else would the Newmans randomly drop by each other's offices? In the preview clip, Claire insists to make a deal. Even though Victor tried to stop Claire and Kyle from moving in, they might still insist on signing a lease for Adam's old house. In terms of Victor, the upcoming week will bring him more pressing concerns. Victor will inquire whether Lily and Devon Winters are aware that Kane has returned to town when they meet at Crimson Lights. Lily will insist that she intends to stay away from Kane at all costs because he will have returned to Genoa City by then. Victor will explain why he doesn't think that's a good idea soon enough. It sounds like Victor wants to make use of Lily, knowing that she is Kane's weak link. Since Victor could use Lily to sway and control Kane, he might try to get Lily to help him. Michelle Stafford's Phyllis Summers, who works in a suite at the athletic club, is eager to start a private meeting with Kane. However, Kane will eventually point out that another individual will join them. If Kane is allowing them into his business world, Phyllis will conclude that they must be powerful figures. Phyllis will realize Billy is the one Kane has invited to their brainstorming session when he arrives at the door. Who is prepared to make some noise? In the weekly preview video, Billy asks. Kane may eventually provide information about the specifics of his grand plans in GC, but he will need help to carry them out. Can Kane rely on Billy and Phyllis to complete the task? Can Billy and Phyllis rely on Kane to not harm them? Since none of these people can be relied upon, Billy, Kane, and Phyllis will all need to keep an eye on each other in the upcoming episodes. According to the Young and the Restless spoilers, as Kane settles back into Genoa City, troubling news may be brewing. Kane's oath, his reclaiming Lily and taking over Genoa City. Not only that, but he is determined to win Lily Winters, whom he believes to be his lifelong love, as well. Lily warned Kane not to go to Genoa City on Tuesday's show. She doesn't see anyone forgiving him for the Chateau murders, especially Chance Chancellor. He won't be greeted with open arms by the Winters family either. It will take Nate Hastings, Jr. a long time to forgive Kane's role in Damian Keynes. However, according to the spoilers for The Young and the Restless, Kane is still as determined as ever to return to Genoa City and take control of Jabot, Chancellor Industries, Winters, and Newman Enterprise. Kane is refusing to take Lily's prompt advice. Y&R spoilers reveal that Kane still wants to go to Genoa City to achieve his business goals. Kane approaches Billy Abbott to discuss his business plan shortly after Carter and Chance's deaths. He suggests that he will make an investment in Abbott Communications, which would save his business. Billy's business would be doomed if Jack withdrew funding, according to a recent threat. Without Kane's investment, Billy would have failed. According to the spoilers for The Young and the Restless, Billy told Sally Spectra that he would appoint her as CEO of Abbott Communications so that he could pursue the significant prize of Chancellor Industries. Kane will attempt to acquire all of Genoa City's major businesses with the support of Billy and Phyllis Summers. He launched his plan of attack by buying real estate all over town, making him a powerful businessman in the area. Lily wants Kane. Kane plans to pursue his real prize, Lily, once he has the businesses he wants. According to the spoilers for The Young and the Restless, Lily isn't ready for a reunion yet. She is blinded by her anger at the murders in France and past heartbreak. She will need time and patience to overcome that and view Kane in a new light. Y&R spoilers suggest that Lily's perception of Kane will shift during November sweeps. She might fall in love with her former husband once more when she sees the old Kane. To find out how everything plays out, continue watching the CBS soap opera. Kane's Peril, Lily's Stumbling, and Phyllis Bold Move. Ashby's move in Kane. Let's begin with Kane, who is ashamed of the events that took place at the party in Nice. He does not give up on either of his goals at the same time. One is to achieve his business objectives, and the other is to reclaim Lily. Kane may be in danger, even though he is up to the challenge of defeating Eric Braden's Victor Newman. When he said that his life was in danger in Nice, it's not clear whether Kane was telling the truth or not. If he was being honest, then another villain could follow him to Genoa City. The Newman family forms one. Additionally, there is the Newman family. Victoria Newman, played by Amelia Heinle, and Adam Newman, played by Mark Grossman, have ended their feud. Victor expects the whole family to unite to protect themselves from Kane's attacks. The daring act of Phyllis Summers. According to the spoilers for The Young and the Restless for the week of August 4th, Phyllis might make another power play. Billy Abbott, played by Jason Thompson, makes Phyllis an alliance proposal. Even though Billy had already let her down a few times, her desire to show that she was on Team Kane could take over. It will have Phyllis' loved ones concerned about how she's putting everything into this possibility. 4th of August, 2025. As Sharon Newman, fans will also see her report information to Mariah Copeland. Mariah, on the other hand, could tell Sharon about her falling out with Kate Fairbanks. Tessa Porter. The redhead would be encouraged by Sharon to simply be sincere with Tessa. However, Mariah could dig her heels in. Tessa might already be with another person when she comes to her senses. Lily is another one, and if she sees Kane in town, she might have a complete breakdown. She will likely order him to leave, but Kane always has a plan. Additionally, Cole Howard's funeral should be held soon. Damien Kane and Eddie Peck. However, Kane may attend Damien's funeral, which will enrage many people. In Genoa City, power struggles are as common as morning coffee at Crimson Lights, but the stakes have never been higher than during the week of August 4th to 8th. At the center of it all stands the ever-formidable Victor Newman, a man with an empire to protect and a vendetta to settle. His latest target? Kane Ashby. His newest weapon? Lily Winters, the woman Kane once loved and betrayed, and the very person Victor intends to manipulate in a ruthless game of chess. What begins as a subtle nudge quickly evolves into a full-scale strategy to bring Kane to his knees. Victor's plan was set in motion the moment he heard Kane had returned to Genoa City. At Crimson Lights, the billionaire patriarch sat down with Devon and Lily, sipping his coffee with casual menace. The encounter started innocently enough, with Victor asking if they'd heard about Kane's return. Lily's jaw tightened. Her voice was icy when she replied that she had, and she had every intention of staying far away. But Victor wasn't convinced that silence and distance were the right weapons against someone like Kane. Lily, he said, with that piercing stare that could disarm even the most seasoned player. You may be his greatest weakness, but you're also his only distraction. It was the first brick laid in Victor's trap. Elsewhere, Kyle and Claire Newman showed up at Newman Media unannounced, startling Adam Newman, who was juggling his usual chaos. Claire, firm and cool, told Adam they were there to make a deal. But that deal, it turned out, had nothing to do with business and everything to do with optics. The Newmans were consolidating, locking arms in the face of Kane's ambition. Adam, skeptical as ever, wasn't thrilled about the sudden unity, especially when Kyle brought up signing the lease for Adam's old house. Was this a mere coincidence, or a prelude to a more calculated defense? Victor's biggest concern, however, remained Kane and what Kane represented, an ambitious, cunning, and dangerously persuasive force. Already, Kane was laying down the foundation for his return, allying with unlikely characters like Billy Abbott and Phyllis Summers. The week's promo teased a pivotal moment, Phyllis waiting at her suite at the athletic club, surprised when Kane revealed that another guest would be joining them. That surprise turned out to be Billy. Phyllis, ever the quick thinker, immediately realized Kane was orchestrating something bigger than a partnership. This was a takeover strategy. Who's ready to make some noise? Billy grinned, as though already drunk on the chaos to come. The plan was simple in Kane's mind. Use real estate as leverage, pour money into Abbott Communications, and form a power trio that could potentially challenge Newman Enterprises, Chancellor Winters, and even Jabbo. But Victor had survived bigger storms than this, and he was always 2 steps ahead. Victor knew Kane's true endgame wasn't just business domination, it was Lily. Despite her firm stance and emotional wounds, Kane was obsessed with reclaiming her. His confidence, while bordering on delusional, was bolstered by years of shared history and emotional entanglement. Victor, reading into this obsession, saw a golden opportunity. Back at Crimson Lights, Victor made his pitch clearer to Lily in private. You don't have to forgive him, Lily. Just get close enough to see what he's really after. For all of our sakes. Lily, caught between her seething resentment and a haunting curiosity, felt the walls around her convictions weaken. Victor didn't need her loyalty, he just needed her involvement. She could spy, play Kane at his own game, and use his affection to mislead him. But at what cost? Meanwhile, Kane was anything but idle. In the aftermath of Carter and Chance Chancellor's tragic deaths, events shrouded in mystery and stained by blood, Kane pressed harder into his reinvention arc. He approached Billy with a business lifeline: invest in Abbott Communications and stabilize its rocky future. Billy, already at odds with Jack and feeling the weight of losing control, considered the offer. Kane sweetened the deal by suggesting Sally Spectra as a potential CEO, knowing her inclusion would further draw attention and admiration to the enterprise. But trust? That was in short supply. Even as these alliances formed, Phyllis Summers' boldness began to shine. Spoilers teased her deeper involvement not out of loyalty, but ambition. She wasn't there to play second fiddle to Kane or Billy. She had her eyes on something bigger, perhaps even Chancellor Industries. Billy, aware of her fire and unpredictability, proposed an alliance. Phyllis, tempted and reckless, threw herself into the fray, worrying those closest to her. Elsewhere, a different storm brewed. Sharon Newman, always a source of emotional stability in the chaos, sat down with Mariah, who vented about Tessa and their growing distance. Sharon urged honesty and openness, but the damage might already be done. Tessa, absent and possibly moving on, loomed large in Mariah's mind, a shadow of something she might have already lost. And amid the corporate warfare and romantic chessboard, Lily found herself slipping. One encounter with Kane at Society led to a gut punch of emotion. "You don't belong here," she hissed, but Kane simply smiled. "Maybe, but neither do you without me." It was a low blow, one that left Lily shaken. Her heart told her to run. Her mind, coached now by Victor, told her to stay. Could she walk the razor's edge between revenge and rekindled love? Victor watched closely. Every meeting, every whisper, every hesitation Lily had was part of his calculation. He wasn't grooming her to be a pawn, he was weaponizing her as a queen, ready to strike when Kane least expected it. The funeral of Cole Howard loomed, adding another layer of tension to the already volatile week. Damian Kane's memorial would also take place, and rumors swirled that Kane would show up uninvited. The audacity of his attendance at the man's funeral, a man whose death was linked to Kane's actions in France, threatened to rip open wounds that had barely begun to heal. Nate Hastings, still raw with grief and suspicion, warned Lily, "If he shows his face, I won't be held responsible for what I do." Despite this, Kane was undeterred. He showed up in black, silent but defiant, and stood by Damian's casket as the entire church turned icy cold. Lily, seated with Devon and Amanda, looked like she might faint. Victor, standing at the back, observed the entire spectacle like a judge ready to pass sentence. And in that moment, Kane didn't flinch. His eyes met Lily's across the room, and something unsaid passed between them. It was this duality, Kane's vulnerability cloaked in arrogance, that made him dangerous. And Victor knew it. That's why Lily was his only hope. "Don't trust him," Victor whispered to her later that night, "but let him trust you." And so, the trap tightened. As August 8th approached, Genoa City was a battlefield of silent wars and brewing betrayals. Kyle and Claire, though removed from the central conflict, continued to dig into Newman Media affairs, their loyalties ambiguous. Adam remained skeptical of everyone, especially Victor. Nick and Victoria, though temporarily united, prepared themselves for a long game, one where Kane might divide the family just by existing. Billy and Phyllis, meanwhile, danced their dangerous waltz with Kane, uncertain whether they were leading or being led. And Lily, stuck between the ghost of love and the reality of deception, stood as the linchpin in Victor's war strategy. By the end of the week, Genoa City would be changed. Not because of a corporate takeover or a business merger, but because trust, love, and vengeance were colliding in ways no one could fully control. Kane wanted Lily and power. Victor wanted control and peace. But neither of them realized that Lily, once the pawn, might evolve into something far more dangerous than either of them imagined. The queenmaker in a game they both thought they were winning. Victor's trap tightens, Lily caught between power and the past. The morning after Damian Kane's funeral brought no peace. Genoa City's air hung thick with suspicion, tension, and a bitter taste of betrayal. Kane's brazen appearance at the memorial had turned heads, stirred emotions, and most dangerously reignited memories Lily had fought hard to bury. Victor Newman sat alone in his office at Newman Tower, replaying every detail in his mind. The way Kane looked at Lily during the funeral. The flicker of emotion she tried and failed to suppress. The Winters family may have buried Damien that day, but Victor recognized the resurrection of something far more volatile. Lily's conflicted love for Kane. He wasn't pleased. Victor had never relied on feelings in a war. Strategy, leverage, and psychological precision, those were his tools. But Lily wasn't playing by his rules anymore. She wasn't just bait, she was becoming a variable. And that made her dangerous. He called her into his office later that day under the pretense of discussing Chancellor Winters. When she arrived, arms crossed and guarded, Victor dropped the civility. "You let him in," he said coldly. "You gave him a crack in the door, and that man will bulldoze his way back into your life." Lily clenched her jaw. "I'm not a fool, Victor. I know what I'm doing." "You think you do," Victor replied. "But Kane is not here for closure or forgiveness. He's here to conquer. And he will use you to do it." She didn't respond, but the silence spoke volumes. Victor's glare softened slightly as he leaned forward. "If you want to prove you're in control, then bring me something," he added. "Prove you're not his pawn." Lily left with a storm brewing behind her eyes. She didn't know what infuriated her more, Victor's arrogance or the possibility that he might be right. Kane's next move, turning the tables. Across town, Kane wasn't wasting any time. He held court at the Grand Phoenix, reviewing development contracts and plotting his next acquisitions. With every property he bought, every business partnership he struck, Kane made one thing clear: Genoa City would feel his presence. Phyllis Summers, now fully invested in his business ventures, dropped by his penthouse with a proposal of her own to acquire a controlling interest in a small but influential media company. "Local influence equals public sympathy," she pitched, her voice slick with ambition. "If we control the narrative, we control the people." Kane considered the offer and nodded. "Do it. But keep my name off the paper trail. I need to stay clean until I'm ready to strike." Phyllis smirked. "You really think this town will let you stay in the shadows?" "I'm counting on it," Kane replied. "Let them underestimate me." Billy Abbott wasn't as trusting. Meeting Kane later that evening, he pushed back on their rapid expansion. "You're going too fast. Jack's breathing down my neck, and if he finds out I'm working with you of all people, this whole thing will blow up." Kane narrowed his eyes. "You want Chancellor Industries? You want to knock Jack off his pedestal? Then stop whining and play the damn game." Billy hesitated, but only for a moment. His thirst for power eclipsed his doubts. Lily's breakdown and revelation. Lily retreated to her suite at the Grand Phoenix that night, emotionally drained. She poured herself a glass of wine and stared out the window, trying to silence the voices in her head. Images of Damien's casket, of Nate's scathing stare, of Kane's piercing gaze at the funeral, they all swirled in her mind like a storm refusing to pass. She opened her laptop, tempted to type an email to Victor with anything she could use against Kane. But her fingers hovered over the keys. What if Victor was just manipulating her? What if Kane had truly changed?